The morning of November 5th, 2025, marked a seismic shift in New York City. Zohran Mamdani, a 34-year-old Democratic socialist from Queens, was declared mayor, making history as the city's first Muslim, first South Asian, and youngest mayor in over a century. His win was a generational and ideological earthquake, signaling a city ready to redefine itself amid deep inequality. Mamdani's journey from housing counselor and hip-hop artist to mayor was improbable and inspiring. He ran on a bold, unapologetically leftist platform, speaking with the urgency of someone who lived the struggles of working families. His authenticity, living in a rent-stabilized Astoria apartment, resonated with millions who felt left behind. The election saw record turnout, with over 2 million ballots cast, and Mamdani secured a decisive 50.4% of the vote. This was not just a win, but a mandate, a rejection of the status quo, and an embrace of a city that serves the many, not the privileged few. Years of grassroots organizing paid off, uniting working class, immigrant, and young New Yorkers behind a vision of radical solidarity. Mamdani's victory proved that confronting powerful interests head-on could fundamentally alter the city's political landscape. At the core of Mamdani's campaign was a simple idea. New York should belong to those who make it run. He proposed a citywide rent freeze, a lifeline for the two-thirds of New Yorkers who rent, and declared housing a human right. Mamdani championed free buses and universal childcare, funded by taxing the city's wealthiest to expand opportunity and ease daily burdens. His slogan, "Tax the rich, house the poor, fund our city," captured his philosophy and priorities. Unlike past mayors, he promised to hold developers and corporations accountable, pushing for a public option for housing and a people's bank. Critics called his ideas unrealistic, but his campaign detailed how a small surtax on millionaires could transform public services. By connecting the city's wealth to its public needs, Mamdani empowered voters to believe in a better, more equitable New York. The resources were there, he argued. What was missing was the political will to use them for the public good. Mamdani's victory was built on the streets, not in boardrooms. His campaign was a grassroots powerhouse, fueled by volunteers, small donors, and people who saw their struggles reflected in his message. He connected deeply with Black and Hispanic voters, investing in real outreach and winning the Bronx, a borough he'd lost in the primary. The coalition spanned Democratic socialists, labor unions, climate activists, and tenants fighting eviction. Mamdani's identity as a son of immigrants and a person of color helped bridge communities, uniting them in a shared fight for economic justice. His campaign's engine was relentless organizing, door-knocking, phone banking, and community events, not expensive ads. Supporters became active participants, explaining policies and mobilizing neighbors. This people-powered approach didn't just win an election, it built lasting political infrastructure for the city's future. Mamdani's win sent shockwaves through the Democratic Party, achieved without establishment support. The party leadership had backed moderates, but voters chose bold progressivism. Progressive leaders like Bernie Sanders hailed the victory as proof that fighting for working people, not donors, wins elections. DNC Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta called it a repudiation of Trumpism, arguing that hope and real solutions beat fear and division. Mamdani's win challenges the idea that moderation is the only path to victory, suggesting bold conviction is now an asset. The party faces a choice: embrace this new energy or risk alienating its base. For years, the wisdom was to chase the center. Mamdani's win flips that script. The victory forces a reckoning. Will the party support more candidates like him or resist the leftward shift? The battle for the party's soul is far from over, but the forces of change just scored a major win. Mamdani's campaign is now a model for progressives nationwide. The future of the party may depend on whether it learns from this moment. The mayoral race became a showdown between New York's future and its past, embodied by Andrew Cuomo's independent run. After resigning in disgrace, Cuomo rebranded as a centrist pragmatist, backed by real estate and old guard donors. He ran on nostalgia and fear, touting his pandemic leadership and attacking Mamdani as dangerously radical. Cuomo's message, New York needs a tough manager, not a revolutionary, resonated with some older, moderate voters. The race became a proxy war, grassroots organizer versus political machine, renter versus landlord. Mamdani's campaign contrasted his vision of a city for all with Cuomo's record of cuts and scandal. In the end, Cuomo's well-funded comeback fell short. He won 41.6%, but it wasn't enough. His defeat marked the end of an era of strongman politics and backroom deals. Voters chose collaboration, movement building, and democratic participation. New Yorkers turned the page, ready to write a new chapter. Mamdani's victory quickly became a national flashpoint in the culture war. Republicans, led by President Trump, painted the win as a choice between communism and common sense, predicting a mass exodus from the city. Conservative media amplified fears, focusing on Mamdani's identity and socialist platform to stoke division. The GOP used the election to energize its base and define Democrats by their most progressive members. They ignored New York's unique challenges, instead warning of a nationwide socialist takeover. This narrative, though disconnected from reality, was designed to alarm voters elsewhere. Ironically, the panic revealed the appeal of Mamdani's message economic populism that threatens the GOP's coalition. By branding him a communist, Republicans tried to discredit a message that could win working-class support nationwide. Mamdani's win was part of a national trend. Democrats focusing on economic affordability swept key races. In New Jersey, Mickey Sherrill won the governorship on property tax relief and health care. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger flipped the governor's mansion by championing kitchen table issues. These candidates weren't socialists, but they shared Mamdani's focus on working families' struggles. The results were a clear rejection of the Republican agenda and President Trump's economic record. Polls showed widespread disapproval of Trump's handling of the economy and self-enrichment. Democrats contrasted this with tangible benefits for the middle and working class. The lesson: when Democrats talk about the real economy, rent, groceries, childcare, they win. Mamdani's victory and others like it point to a winning populist blueprint for the party. News of Mamdani's victory reverberated worldwide, reflecting New York's status as a global capital. In the Arab world and Muslim-majority nations, his win was celebrated as a milestone for representation and progress. Iranian media framed it as a blow to the American establishment, while Israeli outlets expressed anxiety over his identity and politics. Social media became a battleground, with supporters hailing a triumph for progressivism and opponents stoking fears about his views. The polarized digital discourse mirrored real-world divisions, showing how a local election became a global ideological flashpoint. Mamdani's mayorship challenges stereotypes and sparks new conversations about Muslims in Western politics. As leader of a city home to every nationality, his actions will be scrutinized globally. His victory is more than a New York story. It's about the changing face of power in a connected world. He now has a platform to model a more just, inclusive vision of urban life. The world will be watching what comes next. Mamdani's rise is more than a political win. It's a turning point and a blueprint for urban America. His success shows that unapologetically prioritizing working people over the wealthy can win big cities. The question, can this model work beyond New York? Skeptics say the city is unique, but the core issues, housing, wages, public services, are national. Mamdani's victory energizes progressives, proving that bold, clear opposition to the status quo can succeed. Expect more candidates like him, pushing the party to be more ambitious and responsive. The Mamdani mandate is a call for Democrats to embrace class solidarity and multiracial coalitions. His mayorship will be a laboratory for progressive policy, watched by cities nationwide. Mamdani didn't just win, he opened a door to a more just, democratic urban future.